Hi, beloveds. It's Sean. Welcome to my channel. I am the Divine Feminine Abolitionist, and we are free. I'm not going to start this video over. I'm hopefully it won't be too long, but I wanted to come and wish you a happy Friday and hope that as you are experiencing the energy of the supermoon, like I have been on, ebbs and flows. Like I'll have a burst of energy and then I'll get like really tired and then I'll get a burst of energy. But what's been consistent in this particular supermoon is the path and the intention of all of the intentions that I've set for this moon. I'm still able to manifest even, with the energy fluxes, because, sometimes when we are ascending and we have extensions and we're getting spiritual downloads, we can have a little bit of fatigue and things like that. But at the same time, that because we have done so much work in investing, we have reserves that we can pull from and that pull us through. But I've been having some just super time with divine and just, my meditations and the downloads and the information that Spirit has given me, that my ancestors have given me, that the ancients have given me, like spending time with Nana Boruko, spending time with Ma'at, spending time with Marie Laveau, spending time with the Queen of Sheba, spending time with my great grandmother Betty, spending time with my great grandmothers Jaxie and Hattie. It's just been like amazing. It's been amazing in terms of getting these lessons of wisdoms, of knowledge, of healing, of rebuke and redirection. It's just been amazing. So anyway, I want to finish. I have a couple of points I wanted to make about a few things. I can't remember if I did it in a video or not, but I just want to encourage you to read the book of Daniel, especially if you're interested in ancient Egypt teachings, because I feel like the life that Daniel led is what divine calls us for. It's this identity of knowing who you are. And Daniel was a person from another ethnicity, religious group, and was captured and enslaved. And the people who enslaved him were the rulers of the land. And because of the way that Daniel lived his life, he was sought out by the rulers of the land, and he ate a certain way. He navigated in the world a certain way, which I would say he navigated in Ma'at, in the principles of Ma'at, and in the laws of what Yeshua said to us: love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul. And the second is unlike into it, the as. Daniel was living a person who honored the as of living, as as. Just in case my syntax get in the way and you don't know what I'm saying the word as. So what my takeaway from that though is, even though Daniel was navigating in the world in that and from that spirit, there were people who were envious and jealous. They were operating from ego, and so much so that they were willing to have Daniel's life be destroyed, to be killed. They were murderers in their minds and in the things that they said. First of all, they bore false witness, and not only that, they used the law, who was the king, to create laws that would ensnare Daniel. So they abused their authority. They were counselors of the king, and they had position in the land, so they abused their authority and kind of cock held the king into making these laws that would ensnare Daniel, and the king did, because a lot of times when we have people who get into position, they fear false evidence appearing real, losing the position, that even though they know something is wrong. I really love that phrase that says, the only thing we need for evil to exist is that good men say, speak, and do nothing. That's, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Doesn't mean that you're not doing evil, because inaction is a choice. Inaction is a choice. So anyway, they set him up, and the whole point, we talk about the Lionsgate portal, and that portal being a part of this energy that we're now in. And he was in the lion's den, and the divine was manifested in itself in there, and shut the, that's the story. And we use story and imagery as symbolism to, the lion's den could have been anybody. It could have been a council, it could have been a prison, it could have been anything, but he wasn't destroyed in the lion's den. He was not destroyed. And I don't know if some of you may have a Christian background. You may have heard of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were part of his tribe. They were his tribal brothers, and they lived the same way. And those same laws were applied to them, and they got thrown in a fiery furnace. And when I say fiery furnace, like, to go near it would emblaze you. They got thrown in there, and not a hair on their head. I mean, again, this is symbolically, but what we're talking about is a metaphysical, supernatural miracle manifesting for people who were living right, who were living ma'at, and they weren't doing any harm. So, this isn't to say, there's another phrase that says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Well, the reality is the weapons form. They form, and prosper means they won't have whatever the ultimate intended intention was. But it doesn't mean that the weapons won't be formed. It doesn't mean that they won't be used. It doesn't mean that they won't affect your life. It just means that it won't affect your life to such a degree that absolute devastation will happen, or that devastation will not be something that God cannot salvage you from, because there is nothing that separates us from the love of God. And so I said all that to say is, if you're going through something, have the consciousness to stand in your truth. Or, as you grow in your spirituality, you will come up against people who will use your spirituality. I've been called hocus pocus. I've been called the witch. I've been called a voodoo person, or people, in the language that they're using is not, even though all of those things are not necessarily offensive things to me, they meant them in an offensive tone, because I know people who identify as witches. I know people who identify as voodoo queens. I know people who identify as people who practice the black arts, and they are good souls. They are people who do no harm on the earth. They just use nature in a way that creates protection and health and medicine. And I don't have any judgment. I have no judgment absolutely at all, because everything blesses me. But anyway, the point of this is that when you are walking in your truth, you can use any situation as alchemy. So all of that energy that was directed towards him blessed Daniel, and that's why I was getting from. But the other point I wanted to get is that we live in a society that is ego consciousness. People call it a capitalistic society. People call it a colonized nation. Whatever it is, it's an ego-based society. An ego-based society that is patriarchal in its nature, and wounded patriotism, and this ideology that because I say a thing, it makes it true and absolute, and if that thing is not followed, then If you're not for me, you're against me. And there is no division in divinity. And even when people are bringing up the sense of division, it's not true. It's not true. And just because they say it to be so doesn't mean that it's true. So I just wanted to say that, like, ego consciousness is not greater than divine. No matter what history has shown itself, if you go and review that same, every ego consciousness based society that has built itself up to be the superpower or whatever has fallen. Babylon will fall. Babylon will fall. But you don't have to focus on Babylon falling, because you're trying to create the new heaven on earth, as above, so below. And I'm saying that that's doable. That's doable. But the way that we see the world that we want is that we become it, that we find it within us. And that's by living a certain way, a certain manner. So I'm going to read 16 through 23 of the Laws of Ma'at. I consciously co-create with God and Goddess. I think, speak, and act from divine love and light. I am peace in all circumstances. I speak the laws of Ma'at. I act from divine guidance exclusively. I respect the boundaries of others. I speak crystal clear truth from divine knowing. I am an alchemist of right order. And, so many people have misjudged divine people or spiritual people and labeled them certain things. I'll just call, like, Marie Laveau, who was like they've called her the voodoo queen of New Orleans. This ideology, what she actually was an alchemist. She used her spiritual divination to heal her people and to create wealth for herself. And that is the basis of all spirituality, is to provide this sense of alchemy of how we navigate in our humanness and we merge our divinity. And that's what Yeshua was doing. Like, he didn't have, even though he had the trained skill of a carpenter, but the wealth that he amassed on earth had absolutely nothing to do with his trade, and it had absolutely nothing to do with money. It had to do with his giving and receiving, his understanding of divinity, and trying to teach that to the souls that he shared the planet with, that I and God are one. You and God are one. If you just connect with that source of God, your life will be more abundant. And I know I had some other thoughts. I had some other thoughts that I wanted to get out. Okay, so the whole point of alchemy is taking situations, because you won't escape human life without suffering. It's taking that thing that you think this is the worst possible thing, and understanding that I have a goal, I have a vision, and sometimes we get fixated on the how this thing is going to manifest. And because we get fixated, we don't allow for the vastness of the universe. God is infinite intelligence in divine order, infinite intelligence. So there are a myriad of ways of which a blessing can manifest itself, or which a life can open, or which a dream can be manifested, or which a vision can be manifested. And it's like, that's what alchemy is. That's what spiritual living is. That's what getting in touch with yourself is. That's what knowing who you are is. That's what having the scales be balanced is. Having your heart be as light as a feather. That's what's doing whatever you want and causing no harm. And if you have caused harm, doing your best to heal that harm. And, one of the best ways of finding out if someone has changed is behavior. Because when a person, saying the words "I'm sorry" is absolutely nothing. It's just rhetoric. But a living apology is in the behavior of the person, not just towards you, but the way they just navigate in the world. But if they're still continuing the same low vibrational, drama filled, blah, 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 blah kind of lifestyle, then, it is what it is. It's not personal towards you. People invest in their change when they're ready to, when they no longer get a benefit from being in the states of consciousness that they're in, period. That's just what it is. So I wanted to come and I wanted to share that. And I feel like there was something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about, but definitely do some work on healing ego, understanding ego consciousness. A lot of times we call it dramatic, or we call it narcissistic, or we call it low vibrational, or whatever. But the culture that we live in is extremely ego altered. It's just very, if you think of the universe as God's altar, and in humans, the way we live our lives are the offerings. Man, we just have really given God some disgusting, vile offerings, because the thoughts that we have had, the actions that we have taken, the words that we have spoken, the deeds that we have done. And so how do we change that? How do we heal that? The first thing, everything that you want in life begins with you. It begins with you, because everything happens from inside out. You have to go in to get through any situation, to experience anything, to manifest anything. You have to go within, and you have to believe that it's possible. Regardless to what I see in the world, I tell the truth about what I see in the world, but I don't believe that just because I see a thing, that that's a fixated sense of way. And I also know that I don't have to choose to be that way. I don't have to choose to be what my culture is. And when I say culture, I mean world culture, not necessarily the ethnicity or thing like that, or the gender that I come from. I don't have to have group think or group talk, because really living spiritually, when people, there's a phrase that says God's ways are so above man's ways as the heavens are above the earth. That's because my experience of source is that it is so divine and so like deep and embedded in creating balance and the highest good for everyone. The way I think things might should go, or how things should go, or how things should manifest, when it's not happening in my way, it has never failed. Like I wear a shirt and I say a phrase all the time: God never fails, because nothing in my life has failed to not bless me. Everything has blessed me. The most horrible things that have happened to me in my life have blessed me, but they've only blessed me when I've allowed them to do so. And it is that allowance, because again, we have this gift of free will. We don't have to accept the path. We don't have to accept the ways. We don't have, and that doesn't mean we're just going to have horrible, crazy lives. It doesn't, because there are a lot of people who don't turn towards source and sacred, who are living lives that seem perfect, from the outskirts. They can pay their bills, they have a roof over their head, they get to eat, but it doesn't mean that they're living on purpose, or that they have the most fulfilled lives either. People that I see that live on purpose, like, they emanate light. They emanate this magnetism about them. And it's not that they don't ever have problems, but it's the way they respond to challenges in their lives that I find super sexy. It's the way that they treat other people that I find incredibly beautiful and just profound. And, I talked to you guys about my spread at various points, but when I crowned my reading, or clarified my reading, I'm sorry, I drew the world card. So I knew that I was on point in terms of what the universe, what the divine was saying to me about the work that I had done, the rewards that I was receiving. The world is my oyster. And this moon, this full moon, it says, show the world the real you. I don't really have a lot of regrets in my life, but one of the things I look back on and give gratitude for, that I have the ability to change, is for the times that I smalled up so that other people that I cared about or loved could be big. And that's something that I no longer feel the need to do. I no longer feel the need to small up so that anyone else can feel big, to disappear within myself. Um, I no longer feel that. I'm no longer attached to that. I no longer have that need. I have the need to fully be myself and to not ask permission. I'm not asking anybody's permission, even though I have a YouTube channel. And, somebody like contacted me and was like, oh, you have so much wisdom. I don't know why you only have 2 subscribers. Well, I pretty much have an idea why I only have 2 subscribers, but that's really none of my business either. The number of subscribers doesn't dictate or define who I am or what my purpose is in life, period. I mean, that's something outside of me. It doesn't have anything there. Everybody who has some kind of platform, I would imagine, thinks it's nice when, people take the time to energetically give and contribute to the channel. But that doesn't diminish me in any way. There is nothing outside of me that diminishes me. I'm not defined by how many people, you know, subscribe to my channel. I'm not even defined by all the people that come and listen to the messages and choose not to subscribe. I'm not defined by anything outside of me. And that is the one thing that I wish as a gift I could give to everyone, that you realize you're not diminished by the things that are happening and that they don't define you and they don't dictate your level of success. None of that does. I mean, if I were to give a perfect example of somebody who, if she looked at subscriber base when she started, Tabitha Brown. If you guys don't know who Tabitha Brown is, Google her and you'll figure it out. But she started off and people weren't watching her videos, and she did a YouTube channel and she just didn't give up. She just kept doing it because it was the way that she could be creative. It was a creative way. And for me, coming to YouTube is like I can share my process, and it's beautiful to me when I connect with somebody who can relate or who has gone through my same experiences and come to the other side and be like, oh yeah, I went through that, or is going through or hasn't gone through. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to be obedient to the calling of what this is. And even though it gets a lot of judgment, because a lot of the information or a lot of the symbolisms that I use as tools are something that other people have, long since believed was an evil thing or a bad thing or not a good thing. So I just wanted to come and encourage you to trust the process of your path, trust your soul, because you are an alchemist. You are an alchemist. Just keep envision what your life is. And, Oprah Winfrey helped me a lot when she said, she used to say, God, give me this dream or something bigger, because when she first started out, her dream was, let me make $20,000, because she thought that was like a huge thing to be able to do. And when God did that thing, like it seemed like with no effort whatsoever, she was like, oh, okay, let me see, this ask and you shall receive kind of thing might work. Let me check it out. Let me ask for this or something better. This or something better. Like, I have a very clear vision of the future that I want to live. And what I'm living right now was a vision last year this time. It was a vision in my mind's eye of what my new space was going to be, about when I was getting out of my marriage, what it was going to feel like, what it was going to smell like, what it was going to the energy of it. And I knew that it existed for me, even though I didn't have it at the time. I knew that it existed. So all I'm saying is keep in mind your vision, and that then you give it to the altar of the universe, and you let spirit transform it and transmute it so that you can present it to the divine in its purest form, and the divine can take pleasure in knowing that it gave you all of the resources, everything that you needed to unfold that vision into manifestation. And make sure you praise the divine. Make sure you give thanks. Make sure you give thanks for every step of the word. In everything, give thanks. In every single thing, give thanks. All right. I thank you for allowing me to have some of your time and some of your energy. I wish you peace and blessings.